Hi, in this video, we'll introduce the process of converting physical fabric into digital fabric using the Clofab feature in CLO SET. In Clofab, you can create high-quality digital fabrics that match real fabrics by using the zFab kit, a dedicated fabric measurement device, to precisely scan fabric textures and measure physical properties. Even if you don't own the equipment, you can create a digital fabric suitable for practical use simply by entering a fabric image you have on hand along with basic spec information. What's more, since it runs on a web browser, you can quickly digitalize fabrics even without a high-spec PC. Now, let's take a look at how to use Clofab in CLO SET. To use the Clofab feature, first, log in with your CLO SET account. After logging in, select the group with which you like to share the completed zFab file. There are two ways to work on a fabric and upload it within a group, and I'll show you both. The first method is to start digitizing directly through the Clofab menu. In this case, once the work is complete, you can select a worker within that group where you have added permission and upload it there. This is recommended when you need to upload fabrics to multiple workrooms. The second method is to first enter a workroom or company library where you have added permission and then start working. If you click the New button at the top of the screen and select Create New Fabric, the resulting zFab file will be uploaded directly to that workroom. This is recommended when you're uploading fabrics you work on consecutively to the same workroom or company library. Here, we'll go ahead and start with the first method we just went over. First, enter the fabric name, supplier, and owner information in order from the top menu. In the upper right area, you'll notice the screen is divided into the Map tab and the Physical Property tab. In general, we recommend creating the map first and then measuring the physical property. If you don't need to create a map, you can also move directly to the Physical Property tab and generate just the physical properties. Let's go back to the Map tab and look at the buttons. First, the Scan with Scanner button is used when scanning directly with the closed zFab kit scanner device. Second, the Open Map buttons lets you import fabric photos taken without connecting any equipment or files previously scanned with the zFab scanner. First, let's click Open Map. When you click the button, a window appears where you can select the file. At this point, to bring in the image for all the maps at once, select them all and click the Open button. Click the map icons in the toggle menu on the left. You can then confirm that the base color, normal, displacement, roughness, and opacity maps have all loaded correctly. This time, let's click the New button to return to the initial screen and then click the Scan with Scanner button. When you click the scanner icon, the connection status updates and you can check the current status by the color of the circle. If the light is gray, the installer has not been installed. Click the button to install the installer needed to operate the zFab kit. After installation, be sure to restart your PC. If the light is red, the zFab kit is not properly connected. In Device Manager, check that the ports and USB camera entries match what's shown on screen. In my case, both the scanner and the Draper are connected, so the camera and USB are each listed twice. For detailed troubleshooting steps, please refer to the FAQ section on the zFab Kit website. If the light is green, the device is ready to operate. Click the button to move on to the next step. If you are operating the device for the first time, you will need to perform calibration first. Align the calibration card in the center with the white colored chip facing the upper right, Then carefully close the door so the car doesn't shift or move. Then click the color checker button in Clofab. Calibration takes about 1 to 2 minutes, and the green check button will appear once it's complete. Now, remove the calibration card from the tray, and with the tray completely empty, click the Empty Tray button. Once the process is complete, the Scan Fabric with Scanner button will appear, and the date of the most recent calibration will be recorded below it. We recommend performing calibration periodically to scan the actual fabric's color and texture as accurately as possible without distortion. This compensates for slight deviations in the device or changes in the surrounding lighting conditions, so you can always achieve consistent results. This matters especially if the device has sat unused for a while or has been moved, as the scanning environment may have changed. In that case, be sure to click Recalibrate to calibrate again. Now, all the preparation for scanning are complete. The maximum size that the device can scan is 32.6 by 21.6 centimeter. If the repeating pattern area is large enough, you can also prepare a smaller sample than this. Insert the sample into the scanner, align with the grain direction, and remove any debris or dust from the surface. Then lay it flat without any wrinkles. Click the Scan Fabric with Scanner button in Clofab to start scanning, which takes about 1 to 2 minutes. Once the scanning process is complete, the base color map image will appear on the screen. At the same time, a setting menu appears on the right where you can adjust several options. In the viewer, you can zoom in or out by scrolling the mouse wheel and pan the view by holding down the wheel button while moving the mouse. If you like a larger view, click the gear shape button to hide the settings panel on the right. Before creating a seamless texture, if you like to save the original scan image, click the Save Scan Maps button. Then, set the file path and click the Save button. The files are saved as a zip file so that once unzipped, you can view the original image for each map. Saving the original image is only possible at this stage, so if you need them, be sure to save them now. Next, let's begin the tilling process. You can select the mode using the toggle menu at the very top of the settings panel. Turning this toggle on switches to auto mode, which automatically analyzes and finds the most suitable repeat area within the specified range. Turning the toggle off switches to manual mode, where you specify the repeat area yourself. In auto mode, the analysis method is applied according to the shape of the pattern present in the fabric. The pattern type is automatically detected by default, but you can also change it manually. If the fabric has no distinct patterns or has an irregular one, select the plain irregular option. For patterns that repeat regularly, such as checks, select the repeat option. Since a normal map is required to accurately analyze the pattern type, auto mode is only enabled when the normal map is included. Note that in manual mode, since you specify the area yourself, no separate analysis step is needed, so the pattern type option is automatically disabled. Keep the automatically selected pattern type and select an area by clicking and dragging. For automatic tilling, you will get the most accurate and fastest results when you select an area that contains the repeating patterns 4 times. Once you've selected an area, the original image appears on the right side of the screen, and the repeated results based on the analysis can be checked in the preview on the left. If you're not satisfied with the result, click and drag to select a different area. The Analyze Repeat area in the left preview will update again to match the newly selected area. Clicking the Show Repeat Grid icon in the toggle bar on the left of the preview lets you check which area was repeated to create the seamless texture. Let's check whether the selected area is tiled seamlessly across the other maps as well. The toggle menu located in the left preview and the right viewer are linked to each other. So changing a setting on one side will also change the other. If you feel that the brightness of the tile result is uneven, move the Equalize slider in the Adjustments menu to even out the tone. This time, let's specify the area manually. Turn off the Auto Mode toggle. Then, click and drag on the original image on the right to set the area you want to repeat. The selected area is repeated and the edges are automatically blended so it appears seamless. If you like to move the selected area, click and drag the center of the dotted area in the viewer. To fine-tune the area more precisely, you can click the points on the four corners and edges to adjust it in more detail. Let's move on to the next step and measure the physical properties of the fabric. If you don't need to generate physical properties, simply click the Upload button at the top to complete the process. Select the Physical Property tab at the top of Clofab. Here, you can generate the fabric's physical properties using a model trained on a curated selection of real fabric measurements and hundreds of thousands of simulated variations. It offers high accuracy due to a vast database, and the model is continuously trained to support a wide range of special fabric types. Even without the zFab Draper device, you can quickly and easily generate physical properties by entering basic information such as the fabric type and composition ratio. This is especially useful in the early design fitting stage when the physical fabric isn't ready or the fabric hasn't yet been finalized. However, since factors such as yarn, weaving method, and finishing also affect the fabric's drape, it may be difficult to achieve a perfect match with the actual fabric's fill. Therefore, if you need an accurate 3D garment review, we recommend using physical properties generated by directly measuring the actual fabric with the zFab Draper. Let's start with how to take measurement using the zFab Draper. Before turning on the measurement with Draper toggle, check that the disc is properly mounted inside the Draper and that no fabric is placed inside. Then close the device's door and turn the Measure with Draper toggle on. The connection status will update, and you can check the current status by the color of the circle. If the light is gray, the installer has not been installed. Click the button to install the installer needed to operate the zFab kit. After installation, be sure to restart your PC. If the light is red, the zFab kit is not properly connected. In Device Manager, check that the ports and USB camera entries match what's shown on the screen. In my case, both the scanner and the Draper are connected, so the camera and USB are each listed twice. For detailed troubleshooting steps, please refer to the FAQ section on the zFab Kit website. If the light is green, the device is ready to operate. It will start running and begin the initial setup. This setup runs only once, the first time the device's USB is connected. Next, let's prepare the Draper sample and the fabric information. First, let's look at how to cut a 30 cm diameter fabric sample using the zFab cutter, a component of the zFab Draper. Cut the fabric slightly larger than 30 cm by 30 cm and iron it flat without wrinkles. We recommend cutting the fabric to include the selvage so that you can align it with the grain direction. Alternatively, mark the grain direction directly on the fabric. Grab the center handle of the circular plate, resting on the base plate, lift it, and set it aside outside the base plate for a moment. Then pull the guide bar out to open it. Align the grain direction with the marking lines on the cutter, then place the fabric so its right side faces up. However, very stretchy fabrics that lose their shape easily may shift during cutting, resulting in a different size. So when placing the fabric, lay it down slowly and gently so friction with the pad doesn't stretch it. Align the guide bar with the guide bar dog on base plate and lower it so the circular plate sets exactly in the center. Pull the locking pin on the blade dog outward. While holding it in the outward position, attach the blade unit to the blade dog. Once the blade unit is properly seated, release the locking pin you are holding to lock it in place. Once it's fixed in position, carefully close the guide bar. With one hand, press down gently on the handle at the center of the circular plate to keep it from shifting or moving during cutting. With the other hand, hold the blade handle and cut the fabric by smoothly rotating it along the outer edge of the circular plate. Rather than applying excessive force, roll the blade with light pressure, repeating several times. Applying too much force may damage the blade unit or bend the blade, resulting in size errors in the sample, so please be especially careful. Use the reference notch curved into the top and bottom of the circular plate to mark the grain direction on the fabric with a pen. After cutting, first remove the leftover fabric scraps from the base plate. Once cutting is complete, check that the size match a 30 cm diameter. Most fabrics can be precisely cut within a tolerance of ± 3 mm. Measure the weight using the dedicated scale included in the Draper package. Remove the two cases and set the unit into gram. If you have another scale on hand, you can use it to measure the weight. When measuring with the case placed on the scale, be sure to set the 0 point first. Then, since the fabric sample is larger than the scale's measuring plate, fold it before measuring. If the sample becomes wrinkled while weighing, be sure to iron it flat again before the Draper measurement. If you already know the fabric's weight in GSM, you can skip the weight measurement process. Next, use a thickness gauge to measure the thickness. Turn on the thickness gauge and make sure it's set to millimeter. Then lift the lever, place the sample between the plates, and release it. Now, let's place the prepared circular sample into the device with the fabric's right side facing up. Position the fabric so that the grain mark aligns precisely with the two arrow marks, inner and outer, on the Draper guard. Then close the door. If the size of the fabric sample doesn't match the Draper guard, an error may have occurred during the cutting process. Therefore, you will need to double check that the sample was cut to exactly the 30 cm diameter specification. Let's go back to Clofab and take a look at the menu. Construction at the top displays the model version used to generate the physical properties. When the model is updated through additional data training, it's listed in the drop-down menu, where you can also view the history. In type, select the fabric type. If the type you want isn't on the list, choose the closest match available. When there are multiple percentages to enter, in composition, set the fabric's fiber composition ratio. First, select the composition. If there are multiple, select them all. Then, enter the percentage in order. Next, enter the weight and thickness as well. Check the information you've entered and click the Compute button. If the Draper is connected, measurement will begin. If not, the physical properties will be generated based on the information you entered. You can check the generated result right away in the preview on the left. If you perform tilling in the Map tab beforehand, it will be applied as well. Once generation is complete, you can see the result of a 30 cm diameter fabric draped over an 18 cm diameter circular plate. Note that the size matches the device's disk and the circular sample size. From the toggle menu on the left, you can also switch to view a model with 30 cm by 30 cm square fabric drape, as well as a cape model. In the viewer, you can zoom in or out by scrolling the mouse wheel and pan the view by holding down the wheel button while moving the mouse. You can also rotate the view by holding down the right mouse button while moving the mouse. If you like to further adjust the fabric's physical properties, click the Advanced Detail menu. However, directly editing the detail properties means changing the results that was generated based on the fabric information. In other words, the properties will change independently of the fabric information you originally entered. So great care is needed when making edits. Once the physical property measurement is complete, click the Upload button in the upper right to save the fabric you've created. In the pop-up window that appears, review the fabric's name, supplier, and owner information, and edit the data directly if needed. After confirming the information, click the Go to Closet button. Then, select the Upload options for Closet. If you don't want to notify group members with an alert upon upload, enable the first option. If you like the following naming rule apply automatically, enable the second option. Since the zFab extension doesn't include a custom view, please leave the last option disabled. Next, let's check the zFab uploaded to the workroom. A zFab uploaded this way can be easily used in Clo software. From the Closet tab in the library, you can select the workroom for the group you uploaded to and try applying it directly to a garment. We hope you'll enjoy easily creating fabrics on the web using Clofab and Closet. For reference, you can find more information about the zFab kit at zFab kit website.